Hi.
Hi, Arrow.
Hello and good morning, you two.
It looks like you're playing the drums, or you're a disc jockey. I can't tell in that picture. We're seeing a guy with headphones on, but I'll touch him.
I am a radio personality. We don't play, as a friend once told me recently, he says, you don't play discs anymore. Our computer does.
Oh, that's true. I'm aging myself. I was a disc jockey. That's how I worked my way through college.
Let's talk about your multiple books and everything that you do in igniting a child's imagination.
All right. Well, we've got lots of books. And right now, the new books coming out are a new early reader chapter book series called Stinky Stories. And I think that's really going to encourage kids to start reading.
Definitely. It's a lot of fun and it's very silly. And we're hoping that kids don't just learn to read, but they love to read.
And they have fun reading, because I think that's the whole, at this particular age, this is for kids kindergarten through second, third grade. And that's when you're just sort of learning to read. And if it's more fun, then you'll want to do it a little more often.
Yeah, because I have neighbors that have got children that are perfect for this journey with your writing, and it's so fun to watch them, as they get into the story and they explain it. They'll read a page and then they come back and explain what just happened.
And they pick up on the characters, and there's a lot of funny voices in this book, so I think they'll have fun doing that too.
Yeah, I think the people reading to the children will also really enjoy it. There's so many funny characters and fun voices to play with, and then the kids will probably want to do it the second time around, do it themselves.
Yeah, we've done a lot of books. I've done, I think, 76 books have been published, but these are the first ones for this early readers group, and that's kind of fun because that sort of paves the way for all the other books. They're not going to want to read the rest of my collection if they don't have fun reading. So this will make reading a lot of fun.
Don't you think, though, that as we try to get more children to read, we should also teach them how to write? That's always been one of my things with teachers, is that, okay, now you go write your story. Let me see what you're thinking about.
Well, that's one of the great things about Stinky Stories is they're constructed around the kids don't like the way a story like Jack and the Beanstalk or The Boy Who Cried Wolf ends. And they say, well, and Stinky advises them, well, just use your imagination. We can come up with a new ending. So I think this will encourage kids to start making up stories of their own and going. And it's sort of a Shaggy Dog story. Weaves all over the place. It's sort of an improvisational spirit to it all. And I think kids will see how much fun it is making up a story as well as reading one.
Do you feel like a child still when you're writing?
I do. How about you, JJ?
Well, I'll tell you, he's a 12-year-old or an 8-year-old in the best sense of the word. He really is. I mean, he lives in that mindset because he spends so much time with kids. He does a lot of school visits, and it's just a lot of fun, I tell you.
It's a fun way to live. Yeah, it's like never try to lose that childish delight with everything.
Was this the style of books that you grew up reading then? Did you get it from like the Weekly Reader like we used to do in elementary school?
Well, I think more. I grew up, we had See Dick Run, Run Dick Run,
yep.
And we did have the Weekly Reader. But my love of reading and storytelling came more from watching Rocky and Bullwinkle, particularly the Fractured Fairytales. Yep. I always loved the Fractured Fairytales where they took an existing story and they sort of turned it on its ear. And that's kind of what we've done with Stinky Stories. So I guess I've come full circle to the child I was when I was in second grade.
Now, JJ, were you in radio too? Because you've got a fantastic voice.
Oh, thank you. I actually started in musical theater, and then I started doing voiceovers, but never radio. I mean, radio commercials. But.
And what was really fun is we got to do the Stinky Story audiobooks together.
Yes, you did.
Yeah. So that's a lot of fun.
That was really fun.
She did most of the heavy lifting. I just did the goofy voices.
Well, the little guest stars that always steal the show. The funny
That's
parts.
what I love.
So do you get to sit down and watch the reactions of kids? Because the words that you have on the page are just so powerful and so entertaining.
Oh, thank you.
From time to time, I do a lot of in-person school visits. We're getting ready to hit the road again as the school year starts. And there you get to see the kids laugh because that is, as you know, as a radio personality, you probably say something funny on the air and 3 days later people go, hey, that was funny. I remember when I was doing it, working my way through college. Oh, you were funny on Saturday. They would tell you on Tuesday or Wednesday. So, yeah, you do miss that immediate reaction, which is why we love going to the schools, and sometimes we'll go to bookstores and do events and get to meet the kids. And one of my favorite pictures, I have it behind me on the wall here. A photographer took this at a school visit. every single kid, teacher, parent, adult in the whole auditorium is laughing. So
developing your characters, especially with the Stinky Stories. I mean, how do you? It's got to be a collaboration between the two of you and designing each one so perfectly.
It sure is. We started out, you had Stinky first.
Yeah. We love to, we're very silly around our house, and we make up voices for everything. Like the chair's like, oh, I have a broken leg. I'm so sad. So we always have like silly things going on around our house and silly voices. And I grew up with millions of stuffed animals, and I love them. And Stinky is a stuffy in the library. He lives in the library. And so we started talking about when I was a child and I had all these stuffed animals and coming up with voices, and I had stories for them. And Chris, when he goes to speak with kids, he's in the library a lot, and he's seen all these stuffed animals. And sometimes when you improvise a story,
well, in my school visits, I usually improvise a story with the kids because I spent a lot of time doing improv comedy, and I would always make up a story about the stuffed animals, what they do at night when the kids aren't in the library. So that led to it. And then, like any story, you write, you got Stinky, who's your main character. Well, we need someone to encourage him. So that's Wags the dog. Tell me something, Stinky. It's great. And then there's always the naysayer, and that's Mr. Stuffington, who's like, oh, the story is over. We can't take it any further.
And then there's Jerry the giraffe, who's very confused. What's going on here? She doesn't know what's happening.
And then you have the kids. So, yeah, you always, when you're writing a story, you want to make sure everybody is in it there for a reason.
Wow. If you could see the studio, I still have my childhood toy. It was a plastic elephant that did acrobats, and it's with me every single day.
Oh, that's great.
That's great. I've got some of my childhood toys around in here, too.
Oh, see, that's what's great about life, and that's why you shouldn't throw everything away all the time.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Don't you think that with the books that you have, because I talk with more authors that are doing YA books as well as regular adult novels, and they always talk about those first books, such as this one for you guys, for kids, basically, that they always go back to that moment, that book, and that's the reason why they write today.
Yeah, a lot of people, particularly my other books are more for 8 to 12, and that 10-year-old slot is where a lot of people's writing and love of books get started. I, unfortunately, was in school when we had something called SRA, which were color-coded essays. We didn't read books, but thank goodness the local drugstore had a comic book rack, and on that comic book rack was a copy of Mad Magazine. And I started reading Mad Magazine when I was like 9 years old and bought my own subscription when I was 10.
Yeah, as Chris always says, the more something's fun, the more it gets done. So we're hoping that kids laugh and laugh and laugh and love these books, and it makes them want to read more books. When I was younger, a librarian was very smart and picked up on the fact that I loved cats. And so at a very young age, she handed me this book and said, here, I think you're going to like this. And it was all about cats. Well, I was hooked. That was it. I started reading everything I could get about cats, and it taught me how to read.
From one writer to another writer, and those that are listening that do write, but they hide everything that they write underneath their bed. So what is your writing discipline? Are you a morning person, or are you guys do it in the afternoon?
I'm a morning person, mostly because I spent almost 20 years writing radio and television commercials at a big ad agency. And the only time you could ever get to write was between the hours of like 7 a.m. and 11 a.m. By that time, the client had woken up, the account executives had woken up, and they started calling up and they wanted to have meetings and tell you about this problem and that problem. So to get that creative juice, I always tell kids, I like to write early in the morning. When you're writing, it's kind of like you're dreaming while you're half awake. And in the morning, my brain, my subconscious is still able to talk to me.
Yeah, I'm just the opposite. Coming from the musical theater background, my job would start at 8 p.m. So I'm up, I'm a night owl, and that's when I get creative, is at night. So sometimes we have to meet in the middle of the day and exchange notes.
I'm fried, like about 4 o'clock, I'm done.
Not everybody is blessed with such a relationship as you guys, because, I mean, my wife, we've been married for 32 years, but it took me many years in order to get to that relationship where she understands my weirdness and creativity.
Well, we started going pretty quickly.
Yeah, we both learned we were pretty weird.
Pretty early on. We've got 24 years together.
Yeah.
Wow, congratulations.
Well, I call it 24.
Okay.
I call it 24.
Okay.
So you're past 23, so we're on 20.
Okay.
See, that would be a fun little project for the two of you to write a kid's book for adults who are married. How do we get up to 23, 24 years?
Oh, that's a fun idea.
Yeah, that's one of the secrets.
Yeah.
Especially with all of your characters.
Yeah, right. That's funny. I like that.
People your marriage with more people.
Would you say that what you are doing is bringing, we're going to go back to the early roots of radio. You're doing the early years of radio in book form as well as podcasting form with storytelling.
I think so, yeah, with Stinky Stories, especially since it's so character and voice driven. That's why when people talk about is an audiobook a book? Yes. In fact, audiobooks and storytelling on podcast and radio are probably closer to how stories were first told around the old campfire when you had a saber-toothed tiger story to tell everybody and somehow you escaped death that day. So I think it gets back to humans love stories. One of my writer friends, Lee Child, says that stories were created as a tool, as a way to deal with fear and that sort of thing. And so, well, I guess we're keeping that tradition alive.
Wow. I just realized the picture you guys were talking about, because it's right here on the screen, where you were wondering if it was a disc jockey. That's actually me in 1977 in my bedroom.
Oh my gosh! You started early.
Yeah, right over my shoulder is a poster of Evel Knievel and Peter Frampton Come Alive.
I saw Peter Frampton because I was a disc jockey, 1975 to 77, and I played that Peter Frampton Comes Alive.
There you go.
Where can people go to find out more about you guys and become a part of your journey? Because I'm so inspired by you.
Well, the best place to go is the Grabenstein.com. How do you spell that, Grabenstein?
G-R-A-B as in boy, E-N-S-T-E-I-N.
.com. And there you'll see links to Stinky Stories and some background information. We're going to put up a little behind the scenes video of us doing the audio book together. So that will be fun. And then from there, there's links where you can go to wherever you want to buy your books.
With as much as you're attached to social media and reaching out to people, are we going to see this in action form? In other words, are we going to see animation?
All right, that's never up to us. Hopefully some producer somewhere in Hollywood will come across the book. I had one of my books, Escape from Mr. Lemoncello's Library, was turned into a movie on Nickelodeon. And that's how that journey starts, is some producer sees it on a bookshelf, reads it, their kids love it, and then it took 5-6 years for that movie to go from I like this book to it actually being on Nickelodeon. Wow. So Hollywood, it's there.
If you're listening.
Well, if you
go to chrisgrabenstein.com.
If you ever make it to Charlotte to a bookstore, we've got to get together for some Southern coffee and just get together and just have a face-to-face.
That would be great.
Wonderful.
I grew up in Tennessee, so I know North Carolina.
Yes, you do. Well, you guys be brilliant today, okay?
You too.
You.
Thank
Have
you
a stinky
so
day.
Yeah, you can get away with saying that, can't you?
These are stinky good books.
Yeah. Bye, guys.